The extremely poisonous agency, I have no idea what else to call them, 3 million gallons of toxic sludge. And then at first they were lying about it, saying, oh, it was just 1 million gallons. How does something like this happen?
Well, remember what President Reagan warned us about, the 9 most terrifying words in the English language is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Well, the EPA is a classic example of this. There was a small pollution issue in a mine in Colorado, the gold mine in Colorado, and they wanted to plug this leak. So what happened is they went out there with their Tonka toys and they moved too much dirt, and they ended up releasing 3 million gallons of contaminated water with heavy metals. I'm not talking about rock bands here. I'm talking about cadmium, copper, lead, arsenic into the river, 3 million gallons, and now this plume of water is now going throughout all the states, going into Utah and New Mexico. And what's really ironic about this is there was a letter to the editor a couple of months ago from a retired geologist, and he warned the citizens of Colorado that if the EPA went mucking around in this mine, bad things were going to happen, and that's exactly what happened.
Exactly what happened, and they waited a day before they even told anybody, and they said, oh, it was 1 million gallons. Then they had to go back and say, well, actually, it was 3 million gallons. I mean, at what point, as you have, the Minions crew, I don't know how else to describe it, dumping this sludge into a river, do you stop and think, well, this might not be a great idea? That thought apparently never occurred to them.
Well, they have a lot of money and a lot of time and a job to do. So there's, for them, and what's the risk? What's going to be the accountability? Like we're seeing with all these bureaucracies, the alphabet soup, you name it, the IRS, the VA, the EPA, go on and on. This is the way the government works. There's no accountability. And ultimately, it's up to Congress really to put an end to this madness. The EPA has been a disaster. Let's not forget, just last week, they released the EPA Clean Power Plan, which is going to close hundreds of coal plants around the country and drive electricity prices skyrocketing. Remember, President Obama promised that. And that's going to really harm the disposable income of those who could least afford to pay it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute, too. But with this, the water was carrot orange, then it went pea green as oxidization occurred. And now it's going to fall into the sediment. That river is going to be polluted for quite a long time. And I'd say, Tom, well, let's find them. But wait, we fund them.
We find ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's shoot ourselves in the foot. No, we need to defund them and leave this sort of remediation up to the states. This is what really needs to go on. And there's a great point, Dana, because remember, these are heavy metals, by definition heavy. They're going to sink to the bottom of the river and sit there. And then when there's going to be a heavy rain, it's going to get stirred up again and then re-pollute over and over and over again. And remember, this is the Environmental Protection Agency. This is a group that is out of control, incompetent. There was recently released emails where they've been found to be in coordination with outside environmental groups who had the agenda, which they are doing, to bankrupt the coal industry. There was an Investor General's Office report on the EPA, IG report, and they found that 3 individuals were engaging in watching pornography in the agency, 1 child pornography, and that individual's in jail. This is what our taxpayer money is going for. And again, I call the citizens to call the members of Congress that this EPA needs to be reined in, and we need to defund them.